Welcome to this explainer. Okay, I want you to do something for me. Imagine, just for a moment, that you are completely alone in the dense, dark, untamed forests of northern Michigan. The sun has just dipped below the tree line, and it's casting these long, twisted shadows across the pine needles. The wind dies down. The woods go eerily silent. And then, you hear it. Just a rustling in the brush at first. Now, naturally, you expect a deer, right? Maybe a stray coyote? But what emerges from the darkness doesn't stay on four legs. It stands up. It stares right at you, and it smiles. Today, we are heading deep into the terrifying woods of the Great Lakes State to investigate one of the absolute most chilling mysteries in American folklore. We're going to look at the terrifying accounts, the sheer hysteria, and ultimately, we are going to dissect and completely gut this legend to find out exactly what is going on out there in the dark. So let's dive right in.
Our story begins way back in the late 19th century. We're talking right in the middle of the Great Logging Era, back when Michigan was the undisputed king of white pine lumber. The year is 1887. We're in Wexford County, and two rugged lumberjacks are out working in the woods. They stumble upon what they initially think is just a large dog, and they end up chasing it into a hollow log. Thinking they've got this thing trapped, they start poking at it with sticks. Big mistake, because what came out of that log was absolutely not a dog. According to the very first recorded sightings, this massive creature emerged, stood completely upright on two legs, and let out an unearthly scream. They described it as having the body of a man, the head of a dog, and a howl that sounded horrifically human. Needless to say, those tough, seasoned lumberjacks packed up their camp that very night and ran for their lives. So the absolutely crucial question here is, what exactly did those lumberjacks see? For well over a century, thousands of people across the northwestern quadrant of Michigan's Lower Peninsula, and honestly even bleeding into neighboring states, have asked themselves that exact same terrifying question. What is stalking the Michigan woods? Look, when you're out in the wilderness, the psychological dread of the unknown is incredibly powerful. But the thing that really gets me? The descriptions of this beast remain incredibly, frighteningly consistent across entire generations. Let's actually break down the specific anatomy of this nightmare. Because we need to be clear, this is not your standard Hollywood werewolf that waits around for a full moon. Eyewitnesses describe a cryptid that stands over 7 feet tall. That's roughly 2.1 meters. It's bipedal, meaning it doesn't just rear up, it confidently walks and runs on two legs. It possesses a dog-like head set on this broad, incredibly muscular, human-like torso. But you know what detail haunts witnesses the absolute most? The eyes. We're talking piercing, glowing amber, or sometimes ice blue eyes that just lock onto you with this chilling, undeniable intelligence. And when it opens its mouth, it doesn't just bark. It utters these guttural, human-like screams that literally vibrate the chests of anyone unlucky enough to be close by. Now, here is where it gets incredibly weird. One of the strangest components of this entire lore is what's known as the 10-year cycle. According to the mythos, this creature doesn't just roam around randomly. No, it seemingly returns to hunt in a very distinct cycle, specifically making its presence known in years ending in the number 7. Think about it. From that initial 1887 lumberjack encounter to 1897, to a violent attack in 1937, right up to the explosion of the modern legend in 1987. There's even a bizarre case in 1997 where a farmer was actually found dead of a heart attack near his plow, completely surrounded by massive, unidentifiable dog tracks. The pattern is eerie, to say the least, and it sets the stage for some truly harrowing close calls. Let's look at 1937 and the Robert Fortney encounter. Robert Fortney was a rugged guy, right? A survivor of the Great Depression, out fishing near the small town of Paris, Michigan, right along the Muskegon River. He was a practical, no-nonsense man, armed with a rifle. Definitely not someone prone to believing in ghost stories. But suddenly, he found himself surrounded and attacked by a pack of aggressive wild dogs. To scare them off, he fires a warning shot into the air. 4 of the dogs instantly scatter, but one remains. Fortney noted this beast was massive, nearly twice the size of the others. And as he watched in absolute horror, this remaining canine didn't run. Instead, it slowly stood up on its 2 hind legs, revealing a towering, muscular frame. It locked its piercing blue eyes directly onto Fortney's, just staring at him, waiting. In a moment of sheer panic, Fortney leveled his rifle and fired directly into the creature's chest, which finally forced the beast to turn and flee into the dark tree line. Fast forward with me to 1975, in Manistee, Michigan. A 21-year-old woman named Sue Parker and her husband were settling down for the night with their baby. Their house was right on the edge of the forest. Around midnight, the dead silence was shattered by a sound she described as a horrible, loud howl. It was so intensely deep that it physically vibrated her chest and literally caused her ear pain. She said it was this guttural human sound mixed with a wolf. Her husband, who was a very experienced hunter and had never heard anything even close to this, grabbed his rifle, stepped out into the yard, and fired 3 times into the pitch black. He couldn't see a body, but he did see 2 enormous glowing eyes staring right back at him from just 30 meters away in the trees. Terrifying.
Section 1. An epidemic of terror. By the mid to late 20th century, these isolated sightings began to cascade into what felt like a full-blown epidemic of terror across the state. The deeper you dig into the archives, the more you realize this monster had seemingly infiltrated every single corner of Michigan's vast wilderness. Look at how this hysteria spreads. In the 1950s, 3 teenagers tracking weird footprints in Allegan County followed them into a cave, only to be violently attacked by a giant dog-like beast. They barely escaped with severe bites and scratches. In 1961, a night watchman at a Big Rapids factory spots a 2-meter-tall beast at 3 a.m. Jump to 1993, a 13-year-old girl named Cordy sneaks out behind her family's barn for a cigarette, only to find a massive, dog-headed creature the size of a buffalo hiding inside, staring right at her. The sheer volume of these encounters is honestly staggering. It really makes you wonder, how could something this massive stay hidden for so long? Well, hold on to your seats, because this is where the story takes a massive, unexpected pivot. Okay, let's step out of the dark woods for a second and turn on the lights. It is time to debunk this legend and look at the fascinating objective truth. We have an ancient, blood-chilling legend on one side and a 1987 April Fool's joke on the other. Because as it turns out, the reality of the Michigan Dogman is actually an incredibly brilliant case study in human psychology and modern media.
Let's go to 1987. A radio DJ named Steve Cook at WTCM-FM in Traverse City decided he wanted to have a little bit of fun for April Fool's Day. So he sits down and writes this spooky, totally fictional song called The Legend, crediting it to a fake persona named Bob Farley. He threw in some vague local folklore, he completely invented the 10-year cycle rule, he threw in a reference to those 1887 lumberjacks, and he played it on the air just to spook his listeners. Sort of like the famous War of the Worlds broadcast, right? It was a complete fabrication, 100% a radio prank. As Steve Cook himself openly admits, and this is a direct quote, "I made it up completely from my own imagination as an April Fool's prank for the radio and stumbled my way to a legend." He literally meant for it to run for exactly 1 day. But the switchboards at the radio station lit up like a Christmas tree, and people were not calling in to laugh at the joke. They were calling in completely terrified, claiming that the song wasn't fiction at all. They were calling to say, "I have seen this thing."
The entire turning point of this myth boils down to this single number, over 100. That is the number of sincere, absolutely terrified eyewitness reports that Steve Cook received after his fake song played. The song actually became the most requested track on the station. Cook had inadvertently created the modern framework for the cryptid. See, before 1987, sure, there were isolated stories of weird dogs or strange bears, but Cook's song unified them. It gave the monster a name, a timeline, and a specific set of rules. It is just a stunning display of the psychological power of suggestion. Once people had a neat little framework for the monster, their brains literally started placing that monster into their own unexplained memories.
And this power of suggestion, it culminated in 2007 with the infamous Gable film. You've probably seen clips of this online. It was this piece of vintage-looking 8mm footage that showed kids on snowmobiles, and it ended with a terrifying, shaky cam attack by this charging, gorilla-like dog beast. Cryptozoologists went absolutely wild. They called it the conclusive evidence of the Dogman. But once again, the truth was much simpler. In 2010, the TV show Monster Quest thoroughly investigated it, and the creator confessed. The Gable film was a deliberate fabrication, just a hoax made to celebrate the anniversary of Cook's original prank song. Section 2. The reality of the woods. So you're probably asking yourself, if the Michigan Dogman isn't a supernatural werewolf, and the modern lore was literally invented by a guy in a radio booth in 1987, what in the world are hundreds of sincere, terrified people actually seeing out there in the dark? Well, let's look at the biological reality of the woods. When we break down the native wildlife of the region, we find the absolute perfect recipe for a monster sighting: the black bear.
Now, imagine a black bear suffering from severe mange. Mange is a horrible skin disease that causes them to lose all their fur, exposing this thick, gray, leathery skin. Furthermore, when bears are curious or if they feel threatened, they naturally stand up on their two hind legs to get a better look around. If you are alone in the woods at dusk and a 2-meter-tall, hairless, emaciated creature with a long snout stands up on two legs and stares at you, your brain is not going to calmly process, "Oh, a sick bear." It is going to scream, "Werewolf."
It's honestly like a recipe for how to build a monster from scratch. First, you take the immense power of suggestion from media, like Steve Cook's song. Then you add pareidolia, which is just our brain's evolutionary hardwiring to see faces and threats in the shadows. You mix in misidentified, sick wildlife, like mangy bears or unusually large wolf-coyote hybrids. And finally, you layer all of that over deep cultural echoes. The Native American tribes of the Great Lakes region have long-standing lore of wolf spirits and shapeshifters protecting nature. When you combine all these elements together, the human brain seamlessly constructs a towering, bipedal dogman. But here is where the story pivots from biology to economics, and it's fascinating. The monster might be a combination of sick bears and radio pranks, but the money it brings in? Oh, that is very, very real. Look at this data from the Manistee National Forest region. Following a recent surge of viral TikToks and YouTube documentaries about the Dogman, local tourism boards reported a staggering 40% increase in visitors in 2025 compared to the previous year's baseline. Welcome to what we call the cryptid economy. Entire towns in northern Michigan have brilliantly capitalized on this folklore. Outdoor outfitters are seeing massive sustained spikes in the sale of trail cameras, thermal imaging gear, and camping equipment. Hotels in places like Ludington and Traverse City are completely booking up with these mystery weekend packages, offering guided forest tours at night. Local restaurants are literally serving up Dogman-themed burgers. It is an absolute masterclass in taking an April Fool's joke and turning it into a thriving outdoor recreation industry. And you know, there's actually a really beautiful, scientific silver lining to all of this hysteria. Dr. Patterson, a wildlife expert who monitors the area, pointed out something amazing. Because thousands of amateur monster hunters are out there strapping high-tech trail cameras to trees all over the Manistee Forest, conservationists are getting unprecedented amounts of data. While these tourists are out there hunting for a fictional werewolf, they're inadvertently helping real scientists track, document, and protect legitimate wildlife populations, like black bears, coyotes, and migrating wolves. They're doing the scientists' fieldwork for them. Which brings us to a really fascinating conclusion. The Michigan Dogman is just a phenomenal testament to the incredible power of storytelling. Think about it. We took a simple radio prank, combined it with a few shadows in the woods, and completely willed a cryptid into existence. A cryptid that is now driving a real-world economy and actually helping real-world science. So I want to leave you with this to think about. If a single joke broadcast on a local FM station back in 1987 can create an unkillable monster that captivates a nation, what other modern legends are we inventing right now, simply because we want to believe in the magic of the dark? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.